The warning lights painted Hyunwoo's face red in the darkness. His small survey ship tumbled through empty space, engines dead, life support failing. 24 years old, and he was going to die alone in the void between stars. "This is survey vessel Dawn Runner, requesting immediate assistance," he said into the radio for the 100th time. His voice was steady, but his hands shook. "Main engine failure. Life support critical. Oxygen remaining 4 hours. Only static," answered him. Hyunwoo pulled up the star charts on his dying console. The nearest human colony was 3 days away. The nearest registered station was 5. He had 4 hours of air left, maybe 5 if he slowed his breathing and stayed calm. He thought about his sister Tae-yang back on the colony. She was 19, studying to be a diplomat. She would be the one to receive the notification that he was missing, presumed dead. Their parents were already gone. She would be alone. "I'm sorry," he whispered to the empty cabin. The radio crackled. Hyunwoo's heart jumped. He lunged for the controls. "Dawn Runner, this is merchant vessel Talmore's Grace. We read your distress call. What is your position?" The voice was strange, clicking and buzzing beneath the translated words. Not human. Hyunwoo had never been so happy to hear an alien voice in his life. "Talmore's Grace, sending coordinates now," he said, fingers flying over the keyboard. "Thank you. Thank you so much. We see you. Coming to your position. Estimate arrival 40 minutes. 40 minutes. Hyunwoo could last 40 minutes. He shut down everything except emergency power and the radio. The cabin went dark except for a single red light. The temperature began to drop. He waited. True to their word, the alien ship appeared exactly 40 minutes later. Through his viewport, Hyunwoo watched the massive vessel approach. It was nothing like human ships with their clean lines and sharp edges. This ship was rounded and organic-looking, covered in what looked like segmented plates. Beautiful in its own strange way, a docking tube extended from the alien ship and connected to his airlock. Hyunwoo heard the thump and hiss of the seal forming. Then the inner door opened. The alien who entered had to duck to fit through the human-sized doorway. She stood on 4 legs with 2 more limbs that served as arms. Her body was covered in a dark green exoskeleton that gleamed under the emergency lights. Large compound eyes studied him from a triangular head. She looked like a praying mantis that had been crossed with a centaur. "I am Mira," the alien said through a translator device on her chest. "Captain of Talmore's Grace, you are injured?" "No," Hyunwoo said. "Just cold and running out of air. My engines failed completely. I don't know what happened." Mira clicked her mandibles together in a way that might have been concern. "We will bring your ship into our cargo bay. My crew will examine the damage. Come. You need warmth and oxygen." The alien ship's interior was humid and warm, designed for Mira's insectoid species. Hyunwoo had never been more grateful for uncomfortable heat. He sat in what passed for a medical bay while Mira's crew worked on his ship. "Why did you stop?" he asked Mira. "You could have kept going. Most ships would have." Mira's translator clicked as she considered the question. "You would have died. We could prevent this." "Why would we not stop?" "Because you lost time. Merchant ships run on schedules. You probably had cargo to deliver. Cargo can wait. Life cannot." Mira tilted her head in a very insect-like way. "This confuses you?" "No," Hyunwoo said quietly. "It just makes me grateful. Not everyone thinks like you do." It took 14 hours for Mira's crew to repair his engines. Hyunwoo watched them work. These strange insectoid aliens who climbed over his ship with perfect coordination. They didn't complain. They didn't ask for payment up front. They just worked. When they finished, Hyunwoo checked his credit account. He had barely enough to pay for fuel, let alone 14 hours of emergency repair work. His stomach twisted. "Captain Mira," he said, finding her on the bridge. "How much do I owe you?" Mira's compound eyes regarded him. "Owe? For the repairs. For saving my life. I don't have much, but I'll pay what I can. I can send the rest later, I promise." Mira made a buzzing sound that the translator rendered as laughter. "You owe nothing, but your crew worked for 14 hours. The parts, the labor, the fuel you used to reach me. A life is worth more than credits," Mira said simply. "You needed help. We gave help. This is what decent beings do." Hyunwoo felt something tighten in his chest. He had met plenty of humans who wouldn't have stopped. Plenty who would have demanded payment before lifting a finger. And here was this alien, this strange insectoid creature, telling him that his life was worth more than money. "I don't know what to say," he admitted. "Say nothing. Go home safely. That is payment enough. But Hyunwoo couldn't leave it at that. He stood straight and looked directly into Mira's alien eyes. Captain Mira, I need you to understand something. Humans, we remember things like this. We don't forget debts. If you ever need help, you call me. You call Earth, you call any human. Tell them what you did today. I promise you, we will answer. Mira's mandibles clicked together. This is your custom? This is more than custom. This is a promise. I'm putting my name in your ship's log right now with my personal code. If you ever need anything, you contact me. I'll answer. And if I can't, other humans will. We take care of people who take care of us. I do not understand your species, Mira said, but I accept your promise. Hyunwoo entered his information into Talmor's Grace's database. His full name, his home colony, his personal communication code. Everything someone would need to find him. Thank you, Captain, he said. I'll never forget this. Travel safely, young human. Hyunwoo guided his repaired ship out of the cargo bay and set course for home. As the alien vessel grew smaller in his rear viewport, he wondered if he would ever see Captain Mira again. He hoped he would get the chance to repay her kindness. 23 years later, he would get that chance. And when he did, he would bring more than gratitude. He would bring an entire fleet. But that night, as he flew toward home with a working engine and full oxygen tanks, Hyunwoo simply recorded a message for his sister. Tae Yang, I'm coming home. I have a story to tell you about the kindness of strangers. Behind him in the dark, Talmor's Grace continued on its route, carrying cargo and passengers to distant stations. Captain Mira returned to her duties, thinking nothing more of the young human she had saved. It had been the right thing to do. Nothing more needed to be said. She had no idea what she had started. Admiral Hyunwoo stood in his office aboard the orbital station, reading reports from the border regions. 23 years had changed him. Gray touched his temples now. Scars marked his hands from 2 wars and a dozen smaller conflicts. He commanded the 3rd Defense Fleet, 40 ships and 20,000 personnel. He had become important, respected, the kind of officer that young cadets looked up to. His desk chimed with an incoming message. Priority flag, personal channel. Hyunwoo frowned. Very few people had access to his personal codes. He opened it. The message was short. You said humans don't forget. My people are dying. Please help us. This is Captain Mira of the Talmor's Grace. Hyunwoo's blood went cold. He pulled up the ship's identification code. It matched. This was really her. After 23 years of silence, the alien who had saved his life was asking for help. Computer, get me everything you can find on the Velkari people and their current situation. The data that came back made him sick. 3 months ago, the Krathniks Empire had invaded Velkari space. The Krathniks were reptilian conquerors, one of the most powerful military forces in known space. They swept through star systems like locusts, taking what they wanted and destroying everything else. The Velkari had no military. They were merchants and traders, peaceful by nature. They had defensive stations, but nothing that could stop a full military assault. The Krathniks had destroyed 6 colonies already. Civilian casualties were in the millions. The Galactic Council had debated intervention for 2 months and decided against it. Too expensive, too dangerous. Not worth starting a war with the Krathniks over a species that couldn't defend itself. So the Velkari were dying, and the galaxy was watching it happen. Hyunwoo sat down heavily. His hands were shaking. He read Mira's message again. She had saved his life when she had no reason to. She had refused payment. She had treated him with kindness when he was just a young pilot lost in space, and now her people were being slaughtered while the galaxy did nothing. He thought about his daughter, Ji-won. She was 22 now, a lieutenant on the destroyer Retribution. What would he tell her if she asked why he did nothing? How could he explain that he had ignored a debt this important? His sister Taeyang's words from years ago echoed in his mind. The measure of who we are isn't what we do when it's easy. It's what we do when it costs us everything. Hyunwoo pulled up his personal communication channel, the one that connected to every ship captain who had served with him, the one that reached officers across the entire human defense network. This would probably end his career. High Command would never approve military action this far from human space. But some things were more important than careers. He began typing. 23 years ago, a Velkari merchant captain saved my life. She asked for nothing in return. Today her people are being destroyed. The galaxy has abandoned them. I'm going to help. Voluntary mission only. No official orders. If you're caught, the government will disavow you. But if you want to stand with me, rally at Delta 9 in 72 hours. This is Admiral Hyunwoo. Who's with me? He hesitated for only a moment before pressing send. The response was immediate. Within minutes, his communication board lit up like a festival. Ship captains across human space were answering. Some he knew, many he didn't. Officers were resigning their commissions. Entire crews were volunteering. Corporate ships were breaking contracts to join. The destroyer Vengeance is with you. Admiral. Carrier Indomitable requesting rally coordinates. Transport Fleet Sigma volunteering support vessels. Marine Company Delta ready for deployment. The messages kept coming. Hundreds of them. Then thousands. Ship captains were broadcasting his message to their crews who were spreading it further. This wasn't a military operation. This was something else entirely. Hyunwoo's superior officer, Admiral Sung-ho, stormed into his office 6 hours later. What have you done? Sung-ho demanded. You've started a mutiny. Half the fleet is abandoning their posts. They're volunteers, Hyunwoo said calmly. I gave no orders. I asked a question. They answered, High Command will have your rank. They'll court-martial you. Probably. Sung-ho stared at him. You're really doing this? Throwing away everything you've built for aliens we barely know? They saved my life when they had no reason to. Hyunwoo said. Now they're dying and asking for help. What kind of person would I be if I said no? A smart one who lives to fight another day, or a coward who breaks his promises. Sung-ho was quiet for a long moment. Then he sighed. How many ships do you have? Last count 847. More are coming. 847. Sung-ho laughed bitterly. You magnificent idiot. You've created the largest volunteer fleet in human history. Will you stop me? Sung-ho walked to the window and looked out at the stars. I should. I have orders to arrest you if you try to leave. But I won't. Do you know why? Why? Because 40 years ago I was pinned in a crashed shuttle on a hostile moon. A squad of Marines I'd never met fought for 6 hours to reach me. 3 of them died. I asked their sergeant why they came. He said, because you're one of ours, sir. That's what humans do. We come for each other. Sung-ho turned back to face him. These aliens saved you. That makes them ours too. Thank you, sir. Don't thank me. I'm still going to tell High Command you're a reckless fool. Sung-ho headed for the door, then paused. 72 hours, you said? Yes, sir. Better make it 60. The Krathniks won't wait. Sung-ho left without another word. Hyunwoo pulled up the message from Mira and sent a reply. Help is coming. Hold on. Humans remember. Across human space, ships began moving toward Delta 9. Destroyers and carriers, transports and fighters, military vessels and civilian ships. They came from border stations and core worlds, from corporate fleets and private owners. They came because one human had asked, and humans didn't abandon their debts. In 72 hours, they would jump to Velkari space, and the galaxy would learn what it meant to threaten humanity's friends. The rally point at Delta 9 was never meant to hold this many ships. The navigation computers struggled to track them all as they arrived in waves, jumping in from every direction. Military destroyers appeared alongside civilian freighters. Sleek corporate vessels formed up next to battered mining ships. Every ship that could fly and fight was coming. Lieutenant Ji-won stood on the bridge of the destroyer Retribution, watching her scanner screen fill with contact markers. 800 ships had become 900, then 1,000, then 1,200. I've never seen anything like this, her captain said quietly. Not in 30 years of service. Ji-won said nothing. She was thinking about her father, Admiral Hyunwoo. Growing up, she had heard the story of how alien traders saved his life. He told it every year on the anniversary like it was sacred. She understood now why he had never forgotten. All ships, this is Admiral Hyunwoo. Her father's voice came over the fleet channel. I know many of you have questions. You deserve answers. On every ship in the fleet, crews stopped what they were doing to listen. 23 years ago, I was dying in a broken ship. Hyunwoo continued. The Velkari Captain Mira diverted from her route to save me. She repaired my ship. She refused payment. She told me that a life was worth more than credits. I made her a promise that day. I told her humans never forget. Silence on the channel. Thousands of people listening. Today, the Velkari are dying. The Krathnik's empire is destroying their worlds. The Galactic Council has abandoned them. Captain Mira asked for my help. I cannot ignore that call. I will not break my promise. Jiwan felt pride surge through her chest. But I won't order anyone to follow me, Hyunwoo said. This is not a military operation. High Command has not approved this mission. If we do this, we do it as volunteers. Any ship that wants to leave can do so now with no shame. I'll understand. The fleet channel stayed silent. Not a single ship powered up their jump drives to leave. For those who stay, understand the cost. We're going into hostile space to fight one of the most powerful empires in the galaxy. Many of us won't come home. This isn't about orders or duty. This is about honor. About keeping promises. About standing up for those who stood up for us. Captain Dayun of the carrier Indomitable spoke up on the command channel. Admiral, permission to speak? Granted. Sir, I've been tracking the fleet composition. We have 47 military destroyers, 12 carriers, 6 heavy cruisers, and over 1,000 support vessels. We also have 50,000 Marines ready for ground assault, led by Commander Jae-hyun. Whatever we're sailing into, we're not going in weak. Noted, Captain. But the Krathnik's blockade fleet is estimated at 300 warships. We're going to be outnumbered. Another voice joined the channel. Sir, this is Commander Jae-hyun. My Marines have been loading equipment for the last 18 hours. We're ready. Just get us there. More voices added their support. Ship captains confirming readiness. Fighter squadrons checking in. Medical teams preparing trauma facilities. Supply officers coordinating resources. The fleet was organizing itself without orders, each person knowing their role. On the Retribution's bridge, Ji-won pulled up a tactical display. Her scanner officer, a young woman named Mina, was analyzing the Velkari situation. Lieutenant, I've been studying the intelligence reports, Mina said. The Krathniks have 300 ships, but they're spread across 6 systems. If we hit their main blockade at the Velkari homeworld, we'll only face about 200. Only 200, Ji-won said dryly, against our 1,000 civilian ships and 50 military vessels. The civilians have weapons now. Supply ships have been distributing arms for the last 2 days. They're not military grade, but they'll fight. Ji-won thought about that. 1,000 ships crewed by volunteers who had left jobs and families to answer one man's call. Some would die. Many would die. But they came anyway. Why do you think they all came? Mina asked quietly. Because someone needed help and we could give it, Ji-won answered. Isn't that enough? Across the fleet, similar conversations were happening. People asking why. People wondering if they were doing the right thing. But no one was leaving. On his flagship, the dreadnought Promise Keeper, Admiral Hyunwoo met with his senior officers. His sister Tai-yang had used her diplomatic contacts to gather intelligence on the Krathnik's fleet positions. The map she provided showed the blockade formations around the Velkari homeworld. They're positioned for a siege, not expecting an attack, Tai-yang explained. She was 42 now, a skilled ambassador who had left her post to join her brother. The Krathniks think they've already won. They're just cleaning up. Then we'll surprise them, Hyunwoo said. Captain Daeun leaned over the tactical display. Sir, even with surprise, we'll take heavy casualties. The Krathniks have better armor, better shields, better weapons. We're bringing numbers, but that might not be enough. It'll have to be, Commander Jae-hyun said, because we're all that's coming. Hyunwoo looked at each of them. Last chance. Anyone who wants out, speak now. I'll think no less of you. No one moved. Then we jump in 6 hours, Hyunwoo said. Get your people ready. Check your weapons. Say your prayers if you believe in that sort of thing. We're going to war. The officers filed out, leaving Hyunwoo alone with his sister. Do you think we can win? Tai-yang asked. I think we have to try, Hyunwoo said. Whether we win or not isn't the point anymore. The point is that we showed up. That we kept our promise. Mother and father would be proud of you. Or they'd think I'm insane for risking thousands of lives over a debt from 23 years ago. Tai-yang smiled. Same thing, really. 6 hours later, the fleet formed up for the jump. Over 1,200 ships, ranging from massive carriers to small personal craft. The largest volunteer fleet ever assembled. No official backing. No government support. Just people who decided that some things were worth fighting for. All ships prepare for jump, Hyunwoo ordered. Next stop, Velkari space. Let's go remind the galaxy what happens when you mess with humanity's friends. The fleet jumped as one, disappearing into the spaces between stars, heading toward a war that wasn't theirs, to save people they'd never met, because one of those people had once done a kindness. The galaxy was about to learn a lesson about humans, about their strange sense of honor, about their terrifying loyalty, about what happened when you saved one of them. The human fleet dropped out of jump space directly into the middle of the Krathnik's blockade. For a few seconds, there was perfect silence as both sides stared at each other in shock. Admiral Hyunwoo broke the silence. Krathnik's blockade commander. This is Admiral Hyunwoo of the human fleet. You have 30 seconds to withdraw from Velkari space. If you remain, we will consider it an act of war. On the Krathnik's flagship, Warlord Krath looked at the human ships surrounding his fleet and laughed. Humans, you're 300 light-years from your space. Why would you die for these insect creatures? Because they didn't let one of us die alone, Hyunwoo said simply. Withdraw now. Krath's laughter was cold. Foolish mammals. You have merchant ships and civilian craft. We are the Krathnik's empire. We will tear you apart and then finish exterminating the insects. Your 30 seconds have expired. So have yours, Hyunwoo said. All ships weapons free. Show them what happens when they threaten our friends. The battle began instantly. The human fleet swarmed forward like angry hornets. The Krathniks had better weapons and stronger armor, but they hadn't expected this level of aggression. On the destroyer Retribution, Lieutenant Ji-won commanded a fighter squadron. All wings break and attack. Target their weapon systems. Make them bleed. Her squadron shot forward into the chaos. Krathnik's fighters came to meet them. The space between ships filled with weapons fire and explosions. Ji-won's fighters screamed through the battle, her targeting computer barely keeping up. She locked onto a Krathnik's fighter and fired. The enemy ship exploded. No time to celebrate. 2 more were on her tail. She rolled and dove, leading them into the firing range of a human destroyer. The destroyer's point defense cannon shredded the pursuing fighters. Thanks for the save, Ji-won called to the destroyer. Anytime, Lieutenant. Keep them busy. The carrier Indomitable launched wave after wave of fighters. Captain Da-yoon stood on her bridge, coordinating the attack even as enemy fire hammered her shields. Shield strength at 60%, her officer reported. Keep launching fighters, Da-yoon ordered. We don't stop until the bays are empty. A Krathnik's cruiser broke through the formation, targeting the Indomitable. Before it could fire, 3 civilian freighters rammed it from different angles. The cruiser's shields collapsed under the impacts. The freighters were destroyed instantly, but the cruiser was crippled. Da-eun watched the sacrifice in silence. Those civilian crews had known they would die. They did it anyway. Ma'am, we're receiving distress calls from human ships across the battle, her communications officer said. Casualties are mounting. I know, Da-eun said quietly. Keep fighting. Commander Jae-hyun led the Marine boarding parties. His dropships shot through the battle, aiming for damaged Krathnik's vessels. Marines in combat armor stormed through breached hulls, fighting their way into enemy ships. The Krathniks were fierce warriors, but they weren't prepared for human Marines fighting in close quarters. Jae-hyun's teams moved through the ships methodically, clearing section by section. They took no pleasure in it. This was just something that needed to be done. All teams' priority targets are their command ships, Jae-hyun ordered over the combat channel. Take out their coordination, we can break their formation. On the Promise Keeper, Admiral Hyunwoo watched the tactical display. The battle was chaos. Human ships were taking terrible damage, but they kept fighting. Even ships that were crippled continued firing until their power gave out. Some ships, too damaged to fight, simply rammed the nearest enemy vessel. Sir, we've lost 80 ships in the first hour, his tactical officer reported. Casualties are over 10,000. Hyunwoo's face was stone. And the Krathniks? They've lost 40 ships and counting. Our tactics are working. They didn't expect this level of aggression. Intensify the assault. I want every ship pushing forward. In orbit above the Velkari homeworld, Captain Mira watched the battle from her merchant vessel. She had provided the humans with detailed information about the Krathniks' positions. Now she could only watch as they died defending her people. Why would they do this? Her first officer asked. One human asked, and thousands came. I don't understand. Mira's compound eyes tracked a human destroyer as it exploded, saving a group of smaller ships. I saved one of them 23 years ago. I thought it was just the right thing to do. I didn't know it would mean this. Did you know they would come? No, how could I? I sent a message hoping one ship might answer. Instead, She gestured at the fleet of over 1,000 ships. Instead, they all came. The battle raged for 6 hours. Human ships fell in dozens, but they never stopped pushing forward. The Krathnix formation began to crack under the relentless assault. Warlord Kraith found himself surrounded. Human ships had cut off his flagship from support. He tried to retreat, but everywhere he turned, more humans were waiting. All ships, fall back, Kraith ordered. Retreat to secondary positions. But it was too late. The human fleet had broken the blockade. Krathnix ships fled in disorder, many of them crippled. The ones that couldn't escape were destroyed or captured. Admiral Hyunwoo watched the Krathnix fleet scatter. All ships, cease fire. Let them run. We won. But the cost had been terrible. 200 human ships were destroyed. Thousands more were damaged. 23,000 people were dead. Entire crews had been lost. Ji-won's fighter limped back to the Retribution on emergency power. Half her squadron hadn't made it back. She sat in the cockpit, hands shaking, unable to believe she was still alive. Captain Da-yoon's carrier was barely functional. A quarter of her crew was dead. But she had kept fighting until the end. Commander Jae-hyun returned from the boarding actions with half the Marines he had left with. They moved like ghosts, exhausted and traumatized but victorious. On the Promise Keeper, Admiral Hyunwoo stood alone, looking at the casualty reports. 23,000 dead, for a promise he made when he was 24 years old. Was it worth it? Then a message came through from the Valkyrie homeworld. Captain Mira's voice filled with emotion that the translator could barely handle. Admiral Hyunwoo, this is Captain Mira. On behalf of my people, thank you. You saved us. You came when no one else would. We will never forget this. Hyunwoo closed his eyes. 23,000 dead, but billions of Valkyrie were alive because of them. Captain Mira, he said, we kept our promise. That's all that matters. Around him, his surviving crew worked to recover damaged ships and rescue survivors. The battle was over. The war was won, but the real consequences were just beginning. 3 months after the battle, Admiral Hyunwoo stood in the human military court. He wore his full-dress uniform, but his rank insignia had been removed. The charges against him were serious. Unauthorized military action, abandonment of post, reckless endangerment of human lives. The courtroom was packed. Every seat was filled with veterans of the Valkyrie campaign. Outside, thousands more gathered to support him. The judge, a stern woman with cold eyes, read the charges. Admiral Hyunwoo, you led over 1,200 ships into combat without authorization. 23,000 humans died. How do you plead? Guilty, Hyunwoo said simply. Murmurs filled the courtroom. His lawyer looked pained. You don't deny the charges? I can't deny facts. I did exactly what you said. I'd do it again, even knowing the cost. Hyunwoo looked directly at the judge, especially knowing the cost. Those 23,000 people died with honor, defending people who couldn't defend themselves. They chose to be there. Every single one was a volunteer. I won't dishonor their sacrifice by pretending I regret saving billions of lives. Before the judge could respond, the courtroom doors opened. Captain Mira entered, escorted by human guards. She had traveled 300 light years to attend the trial. I request permission to speak, Mira said through her translator. The judge looked surprised. This is highly irregular. Please, Mira insisted. I must speak. The judge considered, then nodded. Very well. The court recognizes Captain Mira of the Valkyrie people. Mira moved to the front of the courtroom. Her insectoid form towered over the humans, but she moved with careful respect. 23 years ago, I saved a young human pilot, Mira began. His name was Hyunwoo. He was dying in space. I diverted my ship to help him because it was the right thing to do. I asked for nothing. I expected nothing. She turned to look at Hyunwoo. He made me a promise that day. He said humans never forget. I didn't understand what that meant. How could I? In my culture, we help because it is right and then we move on. We don't expect repayment. But humans are different, Mira continued. When I called for help 3 months ago, I hoped one ship might answer. Maybe the Admiral would send support if he could. Instead, over 1,200 ships came. Thousands of humans volunteered to die for my people they had never met, for a debt that was 23 years old. Tears would have run down her face if Valkyrie could cry. You accuse this man of crimes, but he saved 3 billion of my people. The Krathniks were exterminating us. The Galactic Council watched and did nothing. Only the humans answered. Only they remembered. The courtroom was silent. If you punish him for this, Mira said, then you tell the galaxy that human promises mean nothing. That honor is less important than rules. Is that truly who you are? The judge looked at Hyunwoo, then at Mira, then at the packed courtroom of veterans. Finally she spoke. Captain Mira, what you've said is moving. But the law is clear. The Admiral broke protocol. People died. People lived, a voice called from the crowd. Ji-won stood up in her uniform. My father saved billions. I was there, I fought. I nearly died. And I'd do it again tomorrow. Others stood with her. Captain Da-yun, Commander Jae-hyun, dozens of veterans rising to their feet. We volunteered, someone shouted. No one forced us. The judge banged her gavel, but the courtroom had erupted. People were chanting Hyunwoo's name. Finally, a message came through on the judge's terminal. She read it, her expression changing. She banged the gavel again for silence. I've just received word from High Command, she said. In light of the circumstances and the political situation, all charges are being dismissed. Additionally, Admiral Hyunwoo is being promoted and assigned to command the new Alien Relations Defense Force. Shock rippled through the courtroom. Hyunwoo stared. What? The judge continued. It seems that 47 different alien species have approached Earth requesting mutual defense pacts in the last 3 months. They all cited the Valkyrie incident. The government has decided that defending our allies is a legitimate military doctrine. They're calling it the Debt of Honor Protocol. Furthermore, the judge said, looking directly at Hyunwoo, the Galactic Council has formally invited humanity to join as a full member. Apparently, they're very interested in having us on their side. This court is dismissed. The courtroom erupted in cheers. Hyunwoo stood there overwhelmed. He had expected prison. Instead, they were giving him a promotion. Captain Mira approached him. Thank you, she said simply. We're even now, Hyunwoo said. You saved my life. I helped save your people. The debt is paid. No, Mira said. The debt can never be repaid. What you did goes beyond simple debts. You showed the galaxy what humanity truly is. You are terrifying when angry, but you are the most loyal friends anyone could ask for. Later that day, Hyunwoo visited the memorial for those who died in the battle. 23,000 names carved into black stone. He stood there for a long time reading names. Ji-won found him there. Dad? I got them killed, he said quietly. No, they chose to come. Every single one knew the risks. They came anyway because you taught them what honor means. Was it worth it? Ji-won thought about the battle, about the friends she had lost, about the millions of Valkyrie who would have died if they hadn't intervened. Yes, she said firmly. It was worth it. 3 months later, Ji-won took command of a new destroyer. Her father had asked her what she wanted to name it. She chose immediately, Talmore's Grace, in honor of the merchant ship that started everything. The message spread quickly across the galaxy. Humans were dangerous, unpredictable. They formed bonds that transcended logic and fought for those bonds with terrifying dedication. But if you treated them with kindness, if you earned their loyalty, they would move entire fleets to protect you. In a bar on Earth, veteran soldiers gathered to remember the fallen. They raised their glasses and spoke the words that had become their motto. We came, we fought, we kept our promise. And across the galaxy, in a small merchant vessel carrying cargo between stations, Captain Mira kept a human photograph on her bridge. It showed a young pilot named Hyunwoo, smiling beside her insectoid form taken 23 years ago. She had saved one human. He had returned with thousands, and the galaxy would never forget what that meant.